Welcome! I have returned from my brief respite, but I was originally going to make a video on the Rainwild Chronicles. I'm not done with that quartet. I'll explain why when I make that video, but I just haven't finished it. I haven't been driven to read the fourth and final book. I've read the first three. You can probably see them right there. You can also see that my bookshelf is teleporting. I'm just working on it, workshopping it here and there. That's going to be filled out a little bit. Anyways, I'm going to be doing my mid-year cooldown tag. I saw that Merphy Napier was doing it, and I realized, oh wait, I don't have to do anything other than that right now. Because I want to try and get at least a video out every week. And I found that I'm not going to get a Rainwild Chronicles one in right now. Probably going to get one in next week, but we'll see. I'm going to do my cooldown tag now. Thankfulness, what hit 2024 has given me thus far. What is 2024? I've been able to start so many interesting projects. Coming to BookTube, I want to try and get to... Oh, I guess that's something I should put in personal plans / goals. I've been working on a couple interesting things. Just personally, I've been writing a book. I've just been all over the place, really. This year has been something of a nightmare. And, well, I was able to go to a writing camp and was able to get some nice knowledge from that, but that was pretty much it. I can't think of anything else that I'm really thankful for. Other than, of course, I live a very good life. I'm saying this so casually. I live a very good life, and I'm very happy about it. But a lot of the stuff I gotta do, I just gotta do. And a lot of the things that I could be thankful for were miserable and awful and hell. So it's more like life experiences, not stuff that I'd say, oh, I'm so happy, or I'm so thankful that I had that. No, it was miserable. I hate that I had that experience, but it had to happen. Now, Relaxation, the most relaxing book I read. So, I think a lot of people will disagree, but I read this on a trip and it was absolutely delightfully relaxing. To any of you who have read A Song for Arbonne, this was relaxing to me, okay? Just cut me some slack. I read this on a trip where I was doing everything. I was up, I was pretty much working every day for a solid 2 weeks, and I was barely able to... I didn't finish the book at my trip, but I did get a good halfway through, and each time I picked up the book, I was so delightfully enthralled. I was sitting there, I propped my legs up, and was just breezing through this absolutely wonderful book, mostly because the prose were just so beautiful and so good that I didn't realize that I think this is in present tense. I didn't know that. Or it's weird, actually. It's kind of weird in terms of the tense it's in, but it's still so good, and I love it so much. It was so relaxing to me after getting into a day, working and doing stuff pretty much all day. Well, I say working. It was something I was doing for fun, and I was hanging out with friends pretty much the entire time. So it was a blast, but it was nice to get a nice respite at the end of the day and read A Song for Arbonne. And it was really relaxing to me. A book that I needed... Ship of Destiny, I think I've said this earlier, one of the most vital books I have ever read. I'm not going to talk about it too much since I covered it in my mid-year freakout. It was so important to me as something, as a core to my philosophy. It has helped, it wrapped up this trilogy in such a way that made me rethink how I want to look at life and how I want to view people. So it's just an absolutely brilliant book, a hunky book, and I just discovered that somebody I know just got into Realm of the Otherlings, so I'm absolutely beyond excited and happy about that. So I'm going to make her talk to me about Realm of the Odalings. And I got somebody else to read Ship of Magic. Got other people to read Ship of Magic. I'm having a great time. I'm making people read Robin Hobb. And this is my favorite book series of all time. And Nourishment, a book that energized me. Actually, I do have one right here. Parable of the Sower. This, if you've read Parable of the Sower, this is dark book. And I mean dark. But when I say energized, I mean more like, oh, hey, reading slump, how you doing? And just pulled me right out. So I think in June, I was having a bit of a reading slump. Nothing, it was mostly just because I was doing other things, and I ended up slowing down on my reading because I just didn't have the time. Plus, I was reading Cloud Atlas, and Cloud Atlas is a very, very difficult read, and it slows you down. No matter who you are, it will slow you down. But Parable of the Sower, I blazed through this book. I think it took me 2 days. I said I was going to take it in 3-ish days. Yeah, no, this was an easy 2-day read. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, with absolutely brilliant quotes like, hold on, let me pull it up. All that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. I love that quote. I can pull up, that was the first quote I pulled from here. I saw it from the Broken Binding edition, and I thought, oh, that's so cool. I like these covers more than the Broken Binding edition. Maybe I'm crazy for that. But anyways, I can't wait to continue this duology, and I loved this book. I started it earlier this month, actually, right before I went into BookTube. So I'm going to make a video on this, believe it. And it was so good. Now, an author I've returned to. Who do you think I'm going to talk about? Hobb. I have been returning to her throughout the year. And Rockio may be able to count because I did read most of Empire of Silence in December of last year, but technically I finished the audiobook for Empire of Silence. I don't own Empire of Silence. In like the first few hours of the new year. So I came into the new year like, oh crap, I wanted to finish Empire of Silence last year. And so I finished it by 1, maybe 2 a.m. Actually, it might have been a couple minutes after the turn of the year. Anyways, I come back to Hobb, technically to Rockio, but I'm not going to count him because that's not fair. Hobb, I started reading her in October last year. That's not true. September last year, finished the Farseer trilogy in October, and read the first 2 Live Ship Traders in December, and then finished the trilogy in January, and jumped into that trilogy this year. Or in April, that's the month. And outside of my comfort zone, / new to me author, I've had multiple new reads, and it was very interesting. These being probably the number ones. Actually, I wouldn't say they're number ones, and I'll explain to you what these are very soon. The number 1 out of place read was that I read Sarah J. Maas. Yeah, I read Sarah J. Maas. It was an experience. I read all of Throne of Glass, actually. In case you're wondering, why would a guy like me read Sarah J. Maas? The answer? To impress a girl. Why else do you think? Anyways, I did read all of that. It was out of my normal reading zone. Was it worth my time? Yeah, a little bit. It's good to read outside the typical reading thing. I don't typically like romance or romantasy books, but I mean, it's good to read outside, as I just said. But these 2 books, these are books on trauma. I'm doing a little project in the background of the universe I'm doing a personal project on trauma, PTSD, and how that affects the brain. I think that's extremely interesting stuff. So you probably won't see me talk about it on the channel that much, but I am doing it. Other than, I guess, every once in a while you'll hear me say, hey, I'm reading a nonfiction book. Don't expect stuff from me for a good bit of time. But really interesting reads. I'm actually not done with this book. Oh, wait, I have this bookmark in here. If you know what this is from Daniel Green's way back when Kickstarter in a couple years ago, I think. Was it 2022? Holy, I'm starting to feel old. I'm not old, but I'm starting to feel it. Anyways, the next section is Reflection, Changes in My Reading Taste. I don't have many changes in my reading taste. My reading taste typically consists of sci-fi, fantasy, every once in a while a good classic like The Count of Monte Cristo, or but I will say I have added some nonfiction. I want to get into some of these things, Talking to Strangers, just interesting psychology books that I picked up. I also have Meditations from Marcus Aurelius. I'm ruining that part of my shelf up there, but I don't care. Changes in my reading taste. Okay. Next one is Detox, a book habit I'm leaving behind. Ooh, that's a hard one. I think I'm starting to get through I have this bad habit of, if I don't like a book, I finish it. Does not matter. But I did DNF one book this year, City of Last Chances, which I'm so sad about because that cover is gorgeous and you know it. I am so sad about that, but you gotta do what you gotta do every once in a while. It wasn't working for me, and I was excited for Fool's Errand coming out the week after it. It just wasn't the right time. I think I'll enjoy it later at a certain point in time. And anticipated books/events. I actually have quite a few books I'm interested in that I want to get into, that are coming out. So the first book is going to be A Dirge for Cascus. I'll put it somewhere up here. Which is, the name sounds like a song for Arbonne to me. And I really want to check it out. To me, I'm thinking Space GGK, which is some crazy stuff. And I'm going to probably read that day one since I signed up for the ARC, but I hate reading online. So I just decided, okay, I'm going to go buy the physical book whenever I can get it, which is August 2nd. Then read it pretty much day one. And that's that and Stormlight 5. Stormlight 5, of course. I want to know what the US cover is going to be like. And I don't know. There's nothing else. I would say Dragonsteel, but I can't make it to that. I'm so sad about that. I really wish I could. I'm going to try and get it next year, hopefully. But I can't think of anything else. That's pretty much all the books that I'm interested in. Maybe the fact that I'm getting a nice free copy of Riven Earth by Zamar... No, is that his name? I'll put the cover up on here. You can see it for yourself. But I'm excited for that book. He said that he sent me a copy because I'm going to write a review for it on Goodreads and Amazon, I think. Maybe not Amazon, but Goodreads definitely. I'll ask him. But I'm getting a copy of it. I'm so excited to read that book. It's probably going to be one of the first books I read next month. Who knows? My schedule's a mess. Oh, wait. Ooh. That's kind of a problem. Oh, well, I'll find it. I'll find out my plan. I make up my plan as I go. You'll get a TBR video next week. And you'll see... Well, it might not be next week. It might be... No, it is going to have to be next week. Next month starts next week, doesn't it? Okay, my bad. Anyways, looking ahead. Personal plans / personal goals. I have quite a few of those. I think my first plan is I want to get a Talking with Tubers, like a esque thing. So I want to have something like Talking with Tubers or Chatting with Nuts, if you watched either of those, where John Minton or Jimmy Nuts pulls on other booktubers and starts trying to talk to them. Because just chatting, really. I would love to get to know some of the other people on BookTube, especially just some of the people that I've been watching for quite a while, like Merphy Napier, John Minton. I've been watching him for half a year now. Philip Chase and AP Canavan. Those two people I have tried to watch everything that they have made and that won't spoil me on Malazan because I love they are so good at talking and interpreting, vocalizing what they love about these books, and it just makes you really, really want to read those books. So I want to get into that, and I want to do something like that. I want to talk to somebody like Philip Chase. I want to talk to AP Canavan. I want to talk to John Minton. I want to talk to, yes, I'm saying big names, aren't I? Big names in BookTube. I want to talk to Jimmy Nutwork. I want to talk to, who else would I be interested in talking to? Laura from Fantasy Awash. She has a cool channel. I can't think of anybody else right now, but anybody from BookTube, pretty much. I want to talk to them. That sounds like so much fun to me. But I think that's pretty much all I have in terms of goals for the channel. Personal goals in terms of reading. I want to get through Herald, probably the entire God Eater saga that's out. I should be getting my copies next week, maybe the week after that. I know that the ones in the UK, in the EU, and all that, they've been sent out. I want to get started on the Dandelion Dynasty, because I did read, what's it called, Paper Menagerie, and that was actually brilliant, and I love fantasy more than that. It was kind of fantastical, but all the same, I want to read Ken Liu's fantasy stuff, or whatever you want to call it. It's like steampunk, no, silk punk is what he calls it. That's just so cool to me. I want to start on Malazan. I don't know about that one, though. But what I really want to do by the end of the year is I want to break my own heart. And you see this? You see these books? I've been working on them for about a year now. I'm going to be starting the last trilogy next month, whenever we get our copies here in the US of the gorgeous editions by what's her name? There's an artist who I can't remember, and I don't think I'll be able to put on the screen. Maybe I will, who knows. But a wonderful artist. I love these book covers. They're gorgeous to me. And the Fitz and the Fool trilogy, that last trilogy, has some stunning covers. And I cannot wait to get my hands on them and finally put a wrap to this absolutely gorgeous and stunning series that I will try my damnedest to pull every single soul into. That is absolutely brilliant. I want to finish that. That is my number one goal in terms of my reading. I might have to dial back on my reading early next year, and that's probably what I'm going to have to do for personal reasons. But I think that's it. I don't have many other plans. I try not to plan ahead that much. I hate planning my reading schedule. I like to say, oh, I'm going to read this, I'm going to read that, and that's pretty much the extent of it. Oh, and maybe start Dragonbone Chair / Austin Art. That is going to be a very, very interesting ride. I've heard great things about that series. In particular, that it is like Hob, and that is really, really good praise in my mind. So, I'm going to try that. Maybe also try to start a Game of Thrones again. I read it a while back, didn't care for it all that much. Maybe my reading taste has changed enough to really, really enjoy it. Why? Because those new covers are awesome in my opinion. I think some people have been like, oh, I like them. I say, I love them. I love those new covers, especially the new Game of Thrones covers. I want my hands on that. At least this thing will be a collector's edition. I don't know if you can see it on the shelf, but it is going to be a kind of collector's edition, I think. Sort of, maybe, probably not, let's be honest. But oh well. I think that's pretty much all I have for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Sai, for watching. And I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. See you next time.